I'm Amy with crazybeautiful.com, and today I'm gonna make a card with you, and we're gonna include a technique to make kind of a distressed flower, and hope you like it. Let's go. Okay, so I've got my Big Shot, and I'm gonna just take my die, that's my spiral flower die, and cut it out. So mostly what I'm going to show you in today's video is just how to make this distressed flower. And I've done just a layered flower here, and you can see it's kind of stiff now because it's dried completely, but it just has a nice distressed look. So what we're going to do is pull this apart. You're going to discard that outside. So the part you want is this, and this will make the spiral flower. I don't want to get my work surface wet, so I'm going to just kind of step aside and grab a paper towel. So I'll just kind of show you what I'm doing. You're just going to lay that on, and I spritz just to completely cover the front surface, and I don't know that you can see that very well, but it's really just, you just kind of want to make sure the whole front surface is coated, and then I'm going to do the back, and what runs off, that's perfectly fine. I'm just kind of patting it around. You don't necessarily need to like completely let it sit here in the water. So before I really start rolling it, I'm just going to give it a good crumble. Now this is where you get the distressed look. Okay, so your flower was wet, it's still damp, and we're just going to roll it. We're just going to roll it on our hands. Be careful not to rip it apart, because when you get it wet, it definitely is a little bit more fragile. So you'll see when you start rolling the flower, we're going to start rolling at the bottom, the tiny little tip, and this other end, that circle right there, is where you end. So you roll it up and it kind of gets glued on to there. Okay, so I'm just going to take it one more time, give it a couple good scrunches, and then I'm going to just let it set aside. Actually, I might flatten it a tiny bit more, flatten it out a little bit more, and then set it aside to let it dry. So in the meantime, I'm going to finish assembling my card. This will go on the front. And I've used the zigzag embossing folder to just emboss a strip that's going to go across here. And I've got all my pieces cut, and I'll put all those dimensions on my website. I just didn't want to bog down this video. So you'll notice this designer series paper is kind of distressed on the edges, and once you get to the middle, it's not as distressed. So I'm going to take the sides that are more distressed, and I'm going to have those towards the outside, just because they're a little bit more noticeable. So I'm just going to flip that over, stick these on. I did this for one of the Mojo Monday challenges, so that's kind of where the layout came from. Now you'll notice on your embossed piece, there's a part that is popped up, and there's kind of the part that's recessed. I usually like the part that's popped up to go to be the side that's showing, but sometimes I change my mind about that. So I like to use this center line here to be a guide for where I want my, just kind of helps you to line align two sides like that. Does that look straight? There you go. Okay, so there's that. And then let's get back to our flower. When I do, okay, so I've kind of flattened this one out a little bit. These flowers are way better adhered when you use hot glue. So get your hot glue gun ready, and I just kind of have, I don't even know what this tool is. It's basically use a pencil, that would be fine. Just start rolling it up, and you'll want to roll up your flower so that the bottom kind of stays aligned. So the bottom will always be aligned. The top varies in height, but the bottom doesn't. So keep the bottom lined up, and you can always adjust it after you're done rolling to open. If you like it nice and tight like that, that's great. We will glue it. I like mine just a little bit more relaxed, and because it's paper and it was a little bit distressed, I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit so that if I need to mail this wedding card, I can do that. So I'm just going to pull out my hot glue thing here. So all you really need to do is throw a nice piece of glue right there. And you can kind of look from the top and see that it's centered. And there's, well, that's cooling. I'm gonna do my stamping. Don't want my hot glue gun to burn me. Okay, I'm gonna use Stays On ink just because I feel like it dries the best. This stamp is kind of delicate, so don't, you might even practice stamping if you're using this one. Okay, just because it can be difficult sometimes. That's pretty good. My ends, I like to use my little punch and just snip that out. It makes a nice little, I hope you saw that. I'm going to make this kind of a little curvy banner, so I'm just going to sort of roll it a little bit over my finger and back, and then that way it kind of looks a little bit distressed like the others. And let's just throw a glue dot on that. And I really wanted it to come from the middle of the flower, so I'm just gonna kind of stick it in there like that. And then glue dots are great for 3D items, but if your flower is even wet in the least, it will not stay on with a glue dot. So I'm gonna put a little of that down. And actually my glue dot where I want it is going to be right here at the end. So don't put it all the way to the end, so you can still flip it up a little bit, but this will allow me to kind of have it coming out of the flower and back up. So there you go. So that's my distressed flower. I'm gonna need that to dry. And I showed you my other one. I've got a couple other projects on my blog, so definitely visit me at www.crazybeautiful.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye.